to discuss that we live in a culture that has unfortunately had an epidemic of hopelessness, whether it be from the job losses or relationship losses or loss of health or loss of skin control. We live in a culture that is very prone to doom and gloom and hopelessness. I would like to express that this hopelessness and predisposition to doom and gloom is actually the real disease in life. That if you were to take a beating, if you were to lose your job, or your relationship were to fall apart, or your skin were to fall apart, or you were to get other health-related injuries or illnesses, that is domino number 1. And domino numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the hopelessness that follow. And if you can recognize domino number 2, 3, 4, and 5 as what I call a hopeless reaction, you will not let the spiral of doom and gloom take you down to a lower level that has even less possibility. You could see how this domino rally could go down. One domino falls, you either get injured, you get hit by a car, or you get a disease, or you get a breakout of acne. Then the rest of the dominoes start to take you down. Now a real domino falls, and say some drama happens in your family, and then another set of hopeless dominoes falls after that. Domino 1 falls, you get a bad skin breakout. Dominoes number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are your hopeless reaction, doom and gloom and panic. Then, in your emotionally clouded state, you get into a car accident. And boom, domino 10 is a real life trauma. And here we go, coming down the bend. Now, dominoes 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 are your doom and gloom and hopelessness due to your new accident, or maybe you hurt your knee. Now, here comes domino number 20. It's real. Because of your hurt knee, you start walking funny, and now your hip hurts. And boom, you can see how this cycle of hopelessness and doom and gloom will take you down to a place where you have zero possibility left. That is why people harm themselves. That is why people harm others. They see no possibility. When you see how this sandwich of actual events, then the mortar of emotional hopelessness, then another actual event, then the mortar of hopelessness occurs, you could see how anyone could accidentally fall into a place of hopelessness. It's a hopeless phenomenon. It's the phenomenon of having something go wrong and then not getting back to square one. It happens all the time, and it happens with treatable conditions. It's one of the reasons the language is so important. For example, if your doctor tells you you have cystic acne and there's nothing you can do about it, when you leave that office, you are now worse off than when you came. Before, you were ready to look for an approach to treat your acne, and now you found a retirement or doom and gloom to a treatable condition. For this, your doctor needs to step it up and say this instead. Quote, you are having cysts at this time and your acne is out of control at this time. We need to get you back from point A to point B. That's the appropriate language. And you can see how this language can make a huge difference when you consider the phenomenon of doom and gloom. In fact, all Western medical diagnoses work the same way on the mind. They create doom and gloom and hopelessness. While diagnosis is important to recognize, say, where point A is so that you can get to point B, that's where the power of diagnosis comes. You have shingles. We're then going to treat you and get you to point B. However, when it comes to these chronic inflammatory ailments, the ones that are hygiene-based and based in your daily routines, you don't always get from point A to point B that easily. And so the diagnosis instead becomes a label that people retire to. That is the phenomenon of hopelessness. If someone gives you a diagnosis for what you know to be plain old acne, and they give you something else besides plain old acne, believe me, you're going to hang on to it as your new identity. That is the phenomenon of hopelessness. If your back hurts, or you have some joint pains, and you're not acutely ill, and you go to the doctor and they give you a musculoskeletal diagnosis for this problem, you have two options. Either fix it, get from point A to point B, or live it. It becomes your label. That diagnosis that they were giving you just to make it a little more academic, they weren't trying to stick you in doom and gloom. They were trying academically to give you an answer to what's going on so that you can make a plan. But if you don't make a plan, these diagnoses stick, and you will stick right at point A, never even seeing point B in the horizon. And that is the phenomenon of hopelessness. So you can see our medical system is trying to help. But in their efforts, they're creating the hopelessness for chronic conditions. It's even worse when you look it up online and start getting Google to give you more diagnoses. All these labels and special conditions for your humanity will give you an identity for what you have, and that will oftentimes become your identity for who you are. And that is the phenomenon of hopelessness. If you've been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, do you think that's who you are and that's the identity of your body? Or do you just think your ovaries happen to have cysts on them right now because your body is imbalanced at this time? If you chose A, I have PCOS and I'm screwed, that's the phenomenon of hopelessness. If you say, I have cysts at this time, my body is not in perfect balance, I think I might be too stressed, I think I might be a little unfit, I'm not looking like an Olympiad, and I'm not breathing like a yoga master, then you're in a position to get from point A to point B. Sometimes when being given the diagnosis, you don't even look over the horizon for point B, and point A just becomes home. And once point A becomes home, that is the phenomenon of hopelessness. So as doctors accidentally continue to hand out labels and identities for people to find doom and gloom with, I will continue to let everyone know that you are just a human being. Your acne is what I call plain old acne, and your ailments are what I call plain old ailments. When you look at them like that, you'll have a chance of getting from point A to point B. When you look at them as special, different, alien, new, totally bizarre, you have no chance of even seeing point B on the horizon. And that is the phenomenon of hopelessness. I'll be here if you need me. Take care.